The black belt challenged a black janitor to spar, just for fun. What followed next left the entire martial arts gym in stunned silence. "Hey, you with the mop. Care to give us a quick show?" yelled Chad Rollins from the center of the mat, his black belt catching the light under the gym's LEDs. "You've probably never seen a real fight before, huh?" Leon Harris stopped scrubbing and slowly raised his head. At 42, Leon had only been working as the night janitor there for 3 weeks, always arriving when classes had ended. But that Thursday night, the advanced session had run late. "I'm not trying to interrupt, Sensei," Leon replied quietly, returning to a tough spot on the mat. "Just cleaning up so you all can finish." C let out a loud, mocking laugh that bounced off the gym walls. "Everyone, check this out." He's scared to even touch the mat. The 8 students nearby chuckled, some uneasy, some entertained. What Chad didn't know was Leon had spent 20 years trying to bury who he used to be. 2 decades since he walked away from the ring after an accident that shattered his world. 2 decades hiding a truth even his daughter didn't know. "Come on, man," Chad pressed, stepping forward with the smug grin he used to bully beginners. "Just a little demo. I bet you don't even know what a guard is. Show my students what separates a real martial artist from someone who just wipes up sweat." Something stirred in Leon's chest, a familiar tension, like an old instinct waking up. His eyes locked with Chad's for a moment, and Chad involuntarily shifted back. "Just for education," Chad insisted, though his voice now carried a flicker of doubt. "Nothing heavy, just to show them why we respect this art." Leon set the bucket down and slowly stood. His movement had a grace that didn't match the image of a man who supposedly never trained. All around, students paused, sensing something was different. "All right," Leon said at last, his voice calm like wind before a storm. "But when this ends, you'll apologize to them all for turning this gym into a joke." Chad laughed, but it came out stiff. "Apologize? You'll be the one saying sorry when you hit the floor." What no one there realized was that Leon Harris had once been Leon Silent Storm Harris, 5-time world MMA champion. He walked away from the sport after a freak accident took his best friend's life. He had sworn never to fight again. But some oaths break when dignity is under attack. If this story of pride and justice hits you, subscribe now, because what started as a moment of mockery would soon become the biggest lesson Chad Rollins would ever learn. Chad tightened his belt with a dramatic flair, soaking in the spotlight. "Gather round, folks. You're about to witness why martial arts has a chain of command." Leon stood quiet as the 8 students encircled the mat. Some leaned forward, curious. Others looked uneasy. A young Asian student with a tight ponytail whispered to her partner, who shook his head disapprovingly. "Take a good look," Chad said with flourish. "Here's someone who doesn't understand his place. Places like this aren't for, well, you get it." That same pain pricked Leon's chest, the kind he hadn't felt since the days people questioned if a fighter like him belonged. But now, at 42, he knew how to channel that pain into something far more precise than rage. "Sensei Chad," the young woman spoke up softly. "Can we just continue our normal training? It's getting late." "And what, Emily Park? You questioning how I run this class?" Chad snapped. "Sit and watch. You'll learn more in 5 minutes than you have all year." Leon recognized Chad's use of her full name. It was a dominance move. He also recognized the fear in Emily's eyes. The same fear Leon once saw in his own reflection, on the night of the accident that killed his best friend, Carlos "Hammer" Morales. A sparring match gone wrong. A strike too forceful. Carlos never woke up. The investigation ruled it an accident. But Leon knew what caused it. Pressure and racial slurs from the crowd that pushed him too far. "So, Janitor," Chad smirked. "Show us a basic guard. Or is even that too much for someone who cleans up after real fighters?" Laughter spread again. Leon stood still, eyes closed. "Back in Vegas. Back in the ring. What's wrong? Frozen?" Chad taunted, circling like a wolf. "Were you just another lamppost with a mop?" Then Chad made his first mistake. He gave Leon a small shove on the shoulder, light, but soaked in disrespect. Leon didn't budge, his feet rooted like concrete. Chad's grin flickered for the first time. "Interesting," Leon muttered softly, more to himself. Been a long time since someone poked the lion. There was something in his tone that shifted the energy in the room. Not anger, something colder, more dangerous. The voice of someone who'd survived far worse. Chad, misreading the moment, escalated. You hear that, guys? He thinks this is funny. Let's show him what reality feels like. Every mocking word stirred something deeper in Leon. Not fury, but clarity. A memory of who he really was when he wasn't hiding. Emily watched nervously. The way Leon breathed, the tension in his shoulders. It reminded her of the nature shows about predators waiting for the right moment to strike. Last chance, Chad warned, more agitated now. Either you accept, or I call security. You'll lose your job too. Leon opened his eyes. When he looked at Chad, the instructor felt a chill, like he'd just awakened something ancient and powerful. All right, Leon said, voice low, yet firm enough to freeze the room. But when this is over, you explain why you turned this gym into a place of shame. Chad chuckled weakly. Man, you'll be explaining to the janitors union after I flatten you. What he didn't realize was Leon had spent the last 20 years not just hiding, but perfecting emotional control, turning rage into a devastating calm. Each insult added fuel to a fire that burned cold and deep. Chad reset his stance, energized by the sudden silence. The students now formed a tight ring. Some looked uneasy. You're about to see more than 6 months of training could teach you, Chad declared like a stage performer. The gap between warriors and, well, floor wipers. Leon stood completely still, but his breathing had shifted. Eyes closed again, he was back in Vegas. His title fight. The jeers. Look at that black dude. No way he lasts 3 rounds. Someone had yelled. Leon won in 2. But that victory carried a heavy price. So, mop man. Chad sneered again, circling. Still want to try that guard, or is that too much brain work? That was when Emily Park couldn't take it anymore. A 22-year-old jiu-jitsu purple belt and sports psychology grad student, she had spent 2 years researching discrimination in athletics. What she saw now was disturbing. Sensei Chad, she spoke firmly. Why exactly do you feel the need to humiliate someone doing his job? The gym went silent. Chad turned to her, his expression sharp. Excuse me, Emily, but I'm running this class. You are, she said steadily. But humiliation isn't instruction. It's abuse. Several students exchanged wide-eyed glances. No one had ever spoken to Chad that way. His face reddened with fury. Racial? Please, he scoffed. This isn't about color. It's about knowing your place. Leon opened his eyes again. Emily's courage reminded him of his younger sister, Kayla, who once stood up to injustice the same way. Kayla had been 17 when a stray bullet took her life during a police chase in her neighborhood. Leon was competing overseas when he got the call. Another person he loved, lost to a world he thought he could escape. Another reason to disappear. Emily, Chad said in a warning tone. If you don't like my teaching, maybe you should find a different gym. Somewhere better suited to your attitude. The threat hung in the air like smoke. Emily felt a chill, but didn't back down. My tuition is paid. And this place should be about learning, not shame. And then Leon smiled. Not a weak smile. A calm, deliberate one. The kind of smile that meant something had shifted. For 2 decades, he had lived with the guilt of 2 deaths. But now, watching someone stand for the values he once fought for, Leon remembered himself. Chad, he said, his voice cutting through the room, she's right. This isn't about technique. It's about your ego. Chad spun, face livid. Don't preach to me. You don't even know what a dojo is. Leon stepped forward, and everything changed. His posture, his center, his stance. Any real fighter would recognize it instantly. I know exactly what a dojo is, Leon said, calm as ice. And this stopped being one the moment you turned it into a stage. Chad felt it now, an instinctual fear crawling up his spine. But pride kept him going. Enough talk, he barked. Time to teach you the hard way. Emily watched with a mix of fear and awe. She had seen hours of sparring footage, but this felt different. Leon moved like a master. Every motion tight. Every breath controlled. Every second a demonstration of poise. Leon let go. 22 years of muscle memory surged back. Every strike. Every defense. Every moment that made him champion. When he opened his eyes again, Chad wasn't facing a janitor anymore. He was standing before Silent Storm Harris, the man the world had once feared. Last chance to apologize, Leon offered, not with aggression, but certainty. To her. To your students. And return this space to what it was meant to be. Chad scoffed, but the sound wavered. Apologize? You'll be kissing the floor, man. But he had no idea Leon had already analyzed every flaw in his form. He opened ribs. The retreat with his right leg. The shoulder twitch before every strike. 2 decades hadn't dulled Leon's eyes, they'd sharpened them. Emily watched as the other students instinctively stepped back, sensing what was coming. The storm was about to hit. Something in the air had shifted. It wasn't just tension anymore. It felt like the calm before a storm. The gym was still, as if everyone sensed something important was about to happen. The last of Chad's mocking laughter echoed and faded, and then silence. But Leon didn't raise his voice. He didn't puff his chest or take a dramatic stance. He simply straightened his spine and let something inside him settle. His shoulders dropped. His breathing slowed. His eyes locked on Chad, not with anger, but with quiet purpose. Chad dropped into his usual ready pose, bouncing lightly on his toes, hands up like a textbook martial artist. His form was solid, but flashy. He was clearly used to being watched, not tested. Leon didn't move. Not yet. He simply stood there, completely still, yet somehow more threatening than anyone in motion. A few students leaned in without realizing they were doing it. Something was different about this man now. Are you frozen, or just scared? Chad called out, trying to sound amused, but there was a tiny edge in his voice. Leon shifted. It was almost nothing, just a turn of the foot, a roll of the shoulder, but it changed everything. His entire posture became grounded, loose but controlled. Calm, but coiled. Chad smirked again, but it was tighter this time. He didn't understand what he was looking at, but his instincts told him it was dangerous. Maya Lin, a quiet observer from the back row, sat straighter. She was studying biomechanics in grad school and had spent countless hours analyzing elite fighter footage. What she saw in Leon's stance wasn't something you found in amateurs, or even most pros. It was rare, clean, lethal. Chad took a step forward. So did Leon. Only, Chad noticed too late that he had moved backward first. It wasn't fear, it was reflex. Is there a problem? Leon asked softly. His tone was calm, but it cut through the room like a blade. Chad's face twitched. No, he said, gritting his teeth. Just surprised. Where do you train TikTok? No one laughed. Leon answered without blinking. Vegas National Institute. 22 years. That got Maya's attention. She pulled out her phone and began typing quickly. Something about that name triggered her memory. Chad shrugged and bounced in place again. All right, let's go then. Let's see what 22 years gets you. But Leon didn't react. He just said, last chance, Chad. Apologize to Maya, to your students, and maybe to yourself, before it's too late. His words were not a threat, but a warning. One final offer to avoid embarrassment. Chad scoffed and moved first. He launched a sharp jab straight at Leon's face. Fast, crisp, the kind of punch that had knocked out many before. But it didn't land. Leon wasn't there. He had stepped out of range before the punch even finished. Chad stumbled forward. Confused. Off balance. Nice form, Leon said quietly. But you telegraph every jab with your shoulder. Chad spun, eyes narrowing. He rushed in again, this time with a full combo. Jab, straight, hook. A tried and true sequence. But again, Leon didn't block. He flowed around every strike with ease. A slight shift here, a duck there, a step to the side. Good rhythm, Leon commented. But you're exposed on your left. Now Chad was sweating. None of his punches had landed. Not one. He charged forward, yelling, stop dodging and fight me. But Leon didn't run. He didn't even blink. He stepped in. Just once. Close. Too close. Suddenly, he was inside Chad's guard, calm as ever. Chad gasped. How did you? Leon placed one hand gently on Chad's chest. No punch. No aggression. Just a smooth, deliberate push. And with that, Chad was airborne. Lifted off the ground and sent flying backwards. He crashed onto the mat with a loud thud, legs tangled, pride shattered. The room was dead silent. Chad lay on the floor, staring at the ceiling in disbelief. That's not possible, he whispered. Leon stepped back, breathing evenly. It's not magic, he said. Just timing. Momentum. Physics. Chad sat up slowly, his body shaking. Physics? That wasn't physics. Maya stood, still holding her phone. You really don't know who he is, do you? She asked. The others turned to look. She read from her screen. Leon Harris, known in the MMA world as the Silent Storm. Five-time world champion. Retired undefeated after a tragic accident took the life of his longtime training partner. Everyone stared. Chad's eyes widened. Wait, you're that Leon Harris? Leon nodded. That was a lifetime ago. I didn't know. Chad stammered, his voice hollow. Leon looked down at him. You never asked. Sometimes, the quietest people carry the loudest truths. If this story gave you chills, subscribe for more powerful stories, and tell us in the comments. Have you ever misjudged someone and got it all wrong?